For those who don't know me, my name is Mario Bekes, Bekes. Why I'm spelling my surname, I tell you why. I arrived in Australia in November 98 and I needed to go to the doctor. And I was very proud that I know some English. And doctor says to me, how you are pronouncing your surname? And I spelled my surname, Bekes. He said, I know. How do you pronounce your surname? I was embarrassed. And most of my life, I was embarrassed of everything what I do, how I do. Today, I'm the proud business owner of 3 businesses. All 3 businesses combining almost 400 employees and contractors. One business is called Cheating Partners, which you can imagine what we're doing there. It's a business relating to investigating infidelity in business, in life. As well, there's a corporate entity of mine, which I'm very, very proud, called Inside Intelligence Group. And now I'm doing podcasting. My life didn't start in Australia, as you can hear in my beautiful, beautiful Aussie accent. English is my 5th language. Another thing it is what I want to share with you. Apologizing in life because you're not perfect, it's ridiculous. I spent half of my life in Australia apologizing to other people because of my English, to people who don't even speak English. So my life started in a very, very small place called Osijek in Croatia. Then that was a part of bigger country called Yugoslavia. And I was born Croatian. Why I'm saying this to you? Because I want you to understand that life is not what we thinking it is. It's what other people made our life. In my case, I was born in Yugoslavia, one big country, 6 republics. Every republic speaks different language, different religion, different culture, different letters, but we called ourselves brothers and sisters. So I was born in Osijek in Croatia in a family of the 2 typical communist workers. My father was a typical communist product. He will wake up 4:30 in the morning, he will have the half a packet of cigarettes, 1 liter of the Turkish coffee, and then he will drive himself on a bike every single day in a factory, which was 10 minutes away from our home. 10 minutes. Because the car was for the luxury, was considered luxury. It was for the people who were the thief, the criminals, or the party members. Party members, they need a car because they are smart guys. My father will say this to me. My mom, she was, again, different type of breed of the woman. She was lazy. She was kleptomaniac. My mom, she loved to steal other people's goods, items, objects, whatever she can come across. And then who she would blame? Me. That eventually in 1986, on a Christmas Eve, my parents have enough of me because, I didn't show the willingness to become what they want me to become, because my father make a prophecy. One day, my son, you, yes, you, my son, you will be the cleaner. You'll be nothing else, nothing more. And I was embarrassed of my actions. So 1986, my father decided, after having all these beautiful vitamin drinks, the grappa, the wine, the beer, he decided to kick me out. 1986 on Christmas Eve. It was beautiful, snowy evening. In communism, Christmas was not so celebrated, but people were still doing what they could do with the things they had. And eventually I found myself on a street and my grandfather appeared out of nowhere. The man who I owe a lot. The man who put me on a right path. My grandfather was at that stage 2nd man in charge of secret intelligence police in communist Yugoslavia. And he was a man of the few words, but he was righteous, he was professional, and above all, he loved me. So he saw me on the street, he tried to bring me back to my parents. They say, we don't want you. And my grandfather took me under his wing. So growing up in communism, I'm proud I grew up in communism. I'm proud that I was a part of the system nobody can understand. It's a relics today. It's an ancient history. It's a history channel. But everything in life has meaning. Living in communism give the purpose for the future in my life. And I always said to people, be careful what you wish for. I always wanted to have the things from the top shelf. I always dream along with my friends. Even I was a little thug, little petty criminal. I was loved to fight, I loved to stab people. I was in juvenile. I was stealing things, literally stealing. My mom stealing from the shops, chocolates, the drinks, because I wanted to have those things. And then I realized later on in my life that the reason why I was with those criminals, so-called alpha males, was because they showed me some type of respect, love. So my grandfather took me under his wing. And somehow, 1991, I was 18 years old. I was in big love with a girl who was overnight become my enemy, my sworn enemy, correct. Now, if you go back on my story in Yugoslavia, 6 republics, 2 territories, different languages, different culture. Eastern Bloc countries was falling like a house of cards, falling one after each other. The last one was Romania with a bloody coup d'etat of civilians against Ceausescu. Yugoslavia was the only bastion left in Europe being a communist country. However, that very quickly turned into the civil war. First, federal forces versus Croatia, who wants to be independent, and then becomes something more. It was a fight between 2 religions, 2 opposing thinking, 2 opposing cultures, and the war just started going from bad to worst for myself. Why is that? Because eventually I found myself on my own. On July 14th, 1991, my parents decided to leave me. And yes, I wake up one day in the morning on the 4th of July. Beautiful sunny day. It was awesome day. It was like, when the summer comes, just like, you just want to be out, daydreaming about things. And I heard a hard knock on my door. And there was 2 police officers, 2 military police officers, and an army officer requesting my presence in army barracks. And I told them I'm gonna pee in army barracks in a couple of hours because I just wake up. I was drunk because my girlfriend night before became my enemy. And for me, life started to become something different. I always wanted to be the Rambo. As I said, be careful what you wish for. We watch those Rambo movies, the one-man army, Chuck Norris. You can laugh, but in communism, those movies will arrive a few years later. But the beauty thing is, we always wanted to be either Top Gun, Tom Cruise, flying the fastest jets, the communism was designed to you desire things, to have the things. And those movies were nothing short than, wanting the wish list. So, 4th of July 1991, my parents left the message on my desk that they are okay. Funny thing enough, my parents, they gone. They left me. I was 18 years old. And then I looked to the window of my unit and I saw that people are packing the stuff. Like in the movies, like the people are putting the furniture on the small cars. They're just leaving the suitcases. It was a chaos. And I said, like, what's happening? The war started night before. While I was drinking and partying and crying and my broken heart, I found myself in beginning of the war. Now, that day actually becomes very infamous for me because that day I realized that everything what I was living for, what I was educated for, was a lie, including my parents. But still I was brokenhearted. That was my biggest problem, broken heart. Anyway, long story short, the war doesn't choose people. You choose the war, and the war chooses the place and time when it's going to happen. But nobody chooses the war to happen. Nobody. Maybe some people understand how it's going to start, but nobody wants the war. So war, it's happened to all of us for some reason. And then I realized when I saw All these alpha males leaving my city dressed as a women, holding mummy skirts, girlfriend and wife undies, and they left the country. The same guys who told me how rough and tough they are, how they're gonna be there for each other forever and ever and ever. And guess what? I found myself in a war next to the average Joe because I was average. Average Joes fought the war. So my first official day in a war was 14th of July 1991, and that day I joined to the Special Forces of Ministry of Interior. And I spent 1,800 consecutive combat days in a war. War eventually ended up by Croatia winning. We got our territory back and we were internationally recognized. And another thing I want to share with you, be careful what you wish for. One, repeating this often because I can demonstrate you that this will happen. Maybe not in a shape and size or form you like. So let me share with you a story I love to repeat to demonstrate to you that it will happen. So 15th of January 1992, Croatia was internationally recognized. And that day, enemy was shelling from left, right, and center. I never saw artillery barrage, the rocket launches, the rockets falling, the missiles, the planes, like everything except the Navy, because we are continental city, in the heart of the Pannonian Sea. But the thing it is, everything was swallowing the earth. Every explosion was chewing more and more of that soil around me, that eventually we've been forced to go into the bunkers. And in the bunker, there was a TV. On the TV was a commercial about McDonald's on Ibiza. And couple girls were dancing in bikinis, eating McDonald's. And I told everybody, one day I'm gonna be on that plane in the sky and I'm gonna be in Ibiza. And everybody laughed at me in a nice way. It's like, stop dreaming, boss. I said, I will be on that plane. 7 years later, I was on a plane in a nice, warm place with the people eating McDonald's in bikinis, Australia. And I was grateful. So I say to you, be careful what you wish for. Maybe it doesn't come in a shape, size, or form you want, but it will happen. I want to be spy. So eventually, 1998, I was transferred from Ministry of Interior to Ministry of Defense, and then eventually I was in 1998 in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was recruited to work in then so-called Directorate 7, then when I was 98 in service, and that was the Foreign Security Intelligence and Counterintelligence Services Department, and I was being sent in Australia. In Australia, I was working 5 years in Croatian Embassy here in Australia. So that's short story about myself. Every story has a love story. My life story is not different. And there was a woman. Oh my God. It was my first in everything. First kiss, making love, but something else we experienced. Forbidden love, like a Romeo and Juliet. That was the point of that relationship. She was in love with me, I was in love with her, and the entire world told us we can't be in a relationship because she's a different nationality, different religion. Imagine, till that day, everything was okay. But from that very moment, our love was forbidden. So I went in the war. I wanted to die. I remember I was 18 years old. What are you expecting? Like when I see my son today, who is at 21 years old, and seeing his skin and his face and how he's smiling, I said to myself, I was younger than him and I was there with the deadliest tool human society created, the weapon. A weapon is not designed to scare the people. Weapon is there to cause the damage, takes the life. And I went in that war with the idea I want to die because I couldn't be with her. In Romeo and Juliet, they have the poison, I want to die in a war. I turn into a hero. But one thing about war, I want you to learn from me. All of you. Very simple. Pain is temporary. and should pass. I went from the war in the summer to the winter. I went in a war with a summer uniform and I found myself on 20 degrees below in the mid of the winter. I didn't believe that human body, human mind can endure things I did endure. Being afraid. Everybody's afraid. Fear, it's normal. I want you to remember this. Whatever I say, if somebody says to you, you are less worthy because you're afraid, tell them to talk to me, because the fear, it's normal. I was afraid many times. Imagine when you're sitting in some confined space, building or village. I can give you so many examples, but when you see, I'll give you one example. One day the enemy attacked the village. They come so close to our house, and the guy parked the tank literally in front of our house, and all what we saw is a turret turning down, hits the ground, go up, hits level 2, and we collapsed from mid-level, first level down the ground floor, with the blood coming through my nose and ears, the dust everywhere, and all I could see was the shadows of the enemy infantry. And guess what? We fought to live. You need to learn to fight. You need to learn. It's easy to learn how to make the money. It's easy to learn how to become good-looking man, woman, six-pack, healthy, happy. But if you don't know how to learn how to survive and fight for what you love, you're gonna lose, my friend. So if somebody says to you, fear, it's bad, fear is not bad. Fear, it's good. It keeps you alive. It's normal. And I'm saying this to you because I spent 1,800 consecutive combat days in a war. I can't understand all these public speakers, all these gurus when they talk about it's not too good to be average Joe. I was the average Joe. I was 18 years old and nobody held my hand and taught me how to deal with the fear. I need to learn how to deal with the fear. I was the guy. I want you to take this message home. I want you to learn on my experience. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be average, because I will go in a war with average Joe next to me anytime in my life, because you know what? Because the average Joe is capable to learn, adapt, adjust, and improvise to survive and fight for the love the most. I've been there. I done that. And if you believe I didn't cry, I cried so many times. I can't make it in my books, only the stories how good I was in a combat. Yes, I was the best. Trust me, I was good in what I was doing. But there was the moments when my body couldn't follow my mind. I was falling apart and I did cry. So guys, I want you to understand, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be average, because your average is gonna be excellent. I guarantee you this. You know why? Because I seen it, I've been there, I done that, I lived that. Practical example. Not just because I think it is, but I've been there. Imagine November 18, 1998. I know it's the last century, but that was a day which defined me for what I am today. Prepared me. That day was a day without me even knowing that it's gonna be a day which gonna define my life forever. So I was boarding the plane. First time in my life I'm flying. Let me share something with you. About fear, another lesson about fear. I jumped from the plane 5 times to get a badge that I am registered parachuter. It's a line, jumping from the plane, nothing spectacular, but I was afraid. Every my friend on that plane, I was afraid. But I got a badge, because afterwards you learn how to tame your fears, how to control your actions and your reactions. For one simple reason, because I was being told how to do it. But one thing I never been prepared is how to fly on a long distance flight. I mean, long distance flight. You know, Captain Jack Sparrow, you know, it comes from the end of the world and then falls down. That was my feeling. My boss told me night before in Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Republic of Croatia, Mario, you're going in Australia. Remember, there is nobody there to hold your hand. You're accountable, you're responsible, and you need to do the jobs we are sending you to do. Plus, you need to be careful what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're behaving, who you're befriending, who you're sleeping with, all of those actions. Very simple. I was a spook. I was sat on that plane and told you're flying in Australia. And guess what? I shaked my ass. I was afraid. I remember the lady next to me, seat next to me. It's okay. I was holding her hand by holding myself actually for the seat because I was afraid. I was on 747-400. Plane took it off from Zagreb and I was thinking we're gonna come there in a couple hours. It took me 36 hours to come in Australia. 36 hours. I didn't know where I was. Now, arriving in Australia, I was a Russian, German, Croatian background speaking person. I didn't know English at all. The one thing my government didn't have enough time is to prepare me to speak language as best as I should. Either nobody can teach you in Europe how to drive the car in Australia. The people driving on wrong side here. In Australia, people will drive on wrong side. I was in a car so many times as a passenger and I was thinking we're gonna crash somebody. And then I realized one thing, the best way to learn, it is to apply all my military skills. One of them is to improvise. What does that mean? You can improvise by just mimicking what people do around you. So I have two tasks. Number one, language. I need to learn the language very quickly. So I knew it. I need to immerse myself amongst the people who are the English speaking background. And secondly, I need to start speaking my language. What better way than you go in a coffee shop, the clubs, the pubs, you start engaging people and then you're realizing that you are becoming one of them. You're picking up the accent, you're picking up the new words, your vocabulary expanding, and that's what you need to do. Wherever you are, whatever you do, don't be afraid. Nobody around you wasn't born just with all these skills. They learn. You're gonna learn as well. It's gonna take a longer, but you will learn, and I learn. Secondly, I need to drive the car in Australia. So my ambassador told me this, Mario, we paid 20 hours of the driving the car lessons here in Australia. So like, oh, you mean the school driving school? He says, yes. I said, okay. And I sat 20 hours and, I managed to drive something, but yet that is with the instructor. Somebody was holding my hand. Now, it's time to learn on my own. So what you're gonna do? Mimic the others. Copy, blue carbon copy. I sat in a car and drive behind the cars in front of me. That's how I learn. I follow the cars in front of me. So I have that feeling, my body for where I am in situational position, geographical position, and as well the forces outside, because in Europe you're sitting on left hand side, in Australia on right hand side, and that's the two differences, different forces on the body applying, believe it or not. 5 years I was working in embassy. I was team leader. I have a team with me. However, the one thing what we didn't have, it's a luxury that something if it's go wrong, that you're gonna be sit on a plane and go back home, or your boss is gonna hold your hand. No. One thing I did have, it's all my knowledge, my training, and I have a key objective. For me, everything was a key objective. This is the message I want you to take. Whatever you plan in your life, have the key objective. One by one. Don't have the multiple objectives, because if you have multiple objectives, you're never gonna reach them with the same tenacity, strength, and they will never have the same outcome. When you have a key objective, concentrate all your strengths on a one key objective. Maximum force on single objective. You gonna then excel, because you utilize everything and anything you have in your powers to get there. So 5 years, I was working as a spook. Official title was a security intelligence officer. However, I was working many different things, and I must give the pride that I work in a country which is very far away from Croatia, the country which was distant from many things I knew and I couldn't rely. Instead of this, I need to build relationships, networking, and I was very happy that this is Australia. However, life becomes different. In my case, I was at that stage father, and I decided to stay in Australia. I got a beautiful son. I remember those moments, I couldn't believe I'm the father. And guess what? My first job was the biggest setback. People love to talk about their hardships. I'll tell you, I am grateful for every hardship happened to me. I stayed in Australia in 2003. My son was born. Even I knew it, I can't have the kids. I was told by medical profession, you will never be father. And I wanted to become father. I wanted to become the person who has his own little Tamagotchi. I want to just, or him or her just want to kiss and stretch and do everything as a parent does. I got a son. But it comes with a price tag. He's diagnosed with epilepsy. But who cares? He's my boy. So I believed that staying in Australia was the best thing. Now, I say to you guys, you need to embrace and cherish every setback in your life. For one simple reason, because you're going to learn. I believe at the moment I stay in Australia, the world owes me. That I'm going to be the least CEO, head of security or something. Guess what? No, I wasn't. I was a bouncer. I was the guy fighting on a door again. I was 30 years old and I was back on a square one when I was 14 years old. I was fighting. I was working night shifts. I hated every moment of my life. I'm telling you right now, I hated every single moment. At least I knew that's going to define me later in my life. So guys, take this from me. Whatever's happened to you right now, it's going to be something that's going to lead you on a path for your greatness. Doesn't matter what you face in your life now, hardship and obstacles. You will become what you desire to become, and that will help you. It's an ultimate tool. It's a freaking gift. Consider every problem as a gift because you're breathing, you are there. I witnessed it in hospital firsthand. My son was there on all these observations, and when I saw all these kids, they don't know they're gonna be tomorrow amongst us or not. They don't know what's happening around them. They were just happy and talking to each other, to my son. My heart was breaking. But these kids didn't expect nothing from life than just to laugh and giggle. And you complaining about life? I was complaining about life. I blame Clayton Harrow. I blame everybody for my mistakes. Everybody. You watching. Yes, you. I even blame you. And I bet you blame everybody for your mistakes. The one thing need to understand and need to learn, not from my experience, but from experience of the life, you will reach the bottom of your life. Now, there's a difference. When you reach your bottom of your life, physics, law of the physics says, the gravity and the time you should go and meet destiny walking up, rising up, except if you don't do something what I did. So don't. Do not go into the shops and buy shovel. Because once when I reached the bottom of my life, what I did, I get a shovel and dig it deeper and deeper and deeper. Till one day I realized that I'm in such a mess. My family is abandoning me. My child is turning back on me. I destroyed everything I had. Why? Because my ego, it was in front of me. Because I believe that I deserve everything. That I am destined for the greater things. Maybe. But not in that moment. Because life gave you the lesson to learn. I need to learn language, the culture, to live with the people. Instead of embracing people, I met wrong people. You know what they say? Misery loves company. It's like a magnet. you attracting what you are and the worst. That's what I did. And things start crumbling. And when you believe that life cannot be worse, magic happen. Not by you, but by somebody else. GFC comes. I don't even know what the GFC is. Except, dear Mr. Bekes, we regrettably need to inform you that your position in this company has been terminated. I said, what does that mean? Was I late at the job? Didn't perform? Did I done something wrong? No. It's a GFC. It took me a couple of weeks to know what a GFC is. I'll tell you how I learned. I had a sheriff's on my door, repossessing my car. My wife, she was going out the side. My kid was struggling with epilepsy. They took at the house and everything. And I said like, but this is not my fault that everything goes down south. Well, in life, it's not what you know. It's how you prepare yourself. Preparation is the mother of all victories. I should know better, but as I say, my ego stands in front of me. And I reach the newest, lowest point of my life. I literally buried myself that moment. I lost everything I know. And the only way up is to embrace all the challenges, all obstacles. Stop listening others and start listening myself, my instinct. So what I did, this is the funny thing it is. This is the unpaid promotion for the book I want you to read. It's called You Can Do It, for some Aussie guy writer called Paul Hanna. I never met the guy. I walk in a library and I opened that book. First I laughed. I said like, this is not possible. But he referred about life, that your life is on autopilot, which is true. We are all living autopilot lives. We have the jobs, it's paid, we pay the mortgage, we live, we drink, all these things. But nobody dares to take control of the life. And another thing he said, if you build, they will come. He referred to the movie Field of Dreams. What I did, no money, no home, no family, nothing, everything lost. I start building my business. And when I say that idea to people around me, everybody laughed at me. Everybody. You're going to start a business? Look, I'm not an immigrant in Australia. Let me be clear with this one. I was in Australia already for almost 10 years. I wasn't new in this country. I should know better. But yet, somehow I surrounded myself with the people who make it fun of me. They ridicule me and they joke with me. So, how do you start a business? I tell you how I started my business. First, I wanted to get a job as a private investigator because that is my strength. That is who I am. I spent almost 20 years by that stage doing investigations, interrogations, and human intelligence operations. But nobody wants to give me a job to be PI. So you wonder, how is that possible? Well, I had one friend, this lady, her name is Anne. She's an average Joe, literally average Joe. I say, Anne, I want to start my business. And she says to me, what do you need? I say, look, I need $1,000 for the license. I don't have the laptop. And I have nowhere to run the business from. She says to me, okay, I'll pay the license. She paid $1,000. She gave me $1,000. That was my very first thing. $100 was the registration of the business, I remember, sole trader. And my license with police was that stage $1,000. It's like a $1 million that stage. My friend gave me. She has no money. She's the average Joe. All these guys, fancy guys and girls with all these businesses, they laughed at me. They laughed. But it's okay. And the second thing, she bought me the laptop. Toshiba, $700. Then there was a shops called Dick Smith. $700 laptop, some plastic Toshiba laptop. And I was paying that laptop back to her for 2 years almost. $20, $30 per month. I was paying that laptop. And I started working from library. Then I moved into the service office, which was a service desk like this, and everybody around me looks very successful except myself. And then my very first commercial, I remember like now, I printed Sherlock Holmes hat, because that's a, obviously metaphorically very well connected with the private investigations. Because I knew it, I had no money for marketing, and everybody told me, you need money for this, you need to do this. I said, but I have no money. Don't worry. So I printed Sherlock Holmes hat and mobile number, and I said, do you need a private investigator? So that's very noble. You printed, black and white, but where to advertise? So I went into the community centers. I go into the bathrooms. I go into shopping centers. I was sharing my first marketing material, Sherlock Holmes hat with a mobile number. And you know what? I had more laughs, more jokes on me was being made in a way, because at that stage I joined myself into a local chamber of commerce. And at my very first event, I walk in, the guy comes to me, says to me, you must be Mario, new member. I say yes, and I gonna rock and roll. And the guy opens the mouth and says this, you will never succeed. I said, fuck, what does that even mean? I'm 38 years old, how you can say I'll not succeed? You need a speech therapist. I said, fuck man, that's another, it's just a, jab and cross, and now there goes the hook and goes the uppercut. And I said to him, what do you mean? He says to me, you will never succeed, you're not one of us. You don't know English, in a speech therapist. Mind you, this guy is my client today. And he's a very well paid client. He doesn't talk to me, he talks to my staff, but he's my client today. What I did, I cried. I ran home and I freaking cried. 38 years old man, I apologize, 38 years old man, crying like a little girl who somebody stole his lunchbox, because I realized that I have the more obstacles to deal with. But one thing I knew it cannot be more difficult than war. It cannot be more difficult than fighting for the life. You know what? If you guys all you succeeded, I will succeed as well. It took me 3 years before my first client. 3 years I was listening all these false prophets, false gurus. But you need to listen to them, because you're gonna learn what you want to become and what you don't want to be. I want to make this to understand, to people understand. There will people discourage you for some reason, not because they're afraid of you, but because they think they're better than you. They think they're greater than you. And I think myself like, I survived the war. I survived the hardships you can't even imagine. I remember in a war, like I'm just saying this, I remember in a war in November, I put this in my book, Blood, Soccer, Soil. One day it was so cold that I coughed the blood and pissed the blood and I shit the blood. And the doctor says, I think that all of you guys have the pneumonia. The only medicine I can give you is a grappa. I said, like, what do you mean fucking grappa? We are dying, we are surrounded, the enemy was hammering us. We knew we were losing the war. Literally, we knew it, we're losing the war. I just want to say, God, honestly, just take it, this is my life. I can't do this anymore. 7 months in that war, I never saw the daylight. You know what I mean? Like in terms that sun and enjoy the day, And the doctor brings the bottle of grappa. He said, put everybody like palm across the hands like this. Create a little pool there, grappa. He said, snort. So he snorted grappa. So he started coughing fucking even more blood. But in the morning, we are all clear. He said, see, I done the magic. And I was like, I said, fuck, this is good, man. I mean, I then hooked up on fucking heroin, hashish, LSD was fucking galore. I couldn't care less anymore what's happening. Amphetamine, we were sharing the stanazol, the steroid, right? Because I was in special forces, so we gathered this from some sources. But then you think myself, I'm here trying to run the business. I have the skills to be investigator, but yet nobody wants to give me a job. You know why? Because oh, you ex-military, your language is a shit, and this. I said, okay, anything else you didn't say to humiliate me here? Did you brought me fucking down? Yes. Now I show you how great I am. I cried. I fucking cried, Clayton. I cried like a little fucking girl. And look at my son. You know, people don't understand when you see that day, you know, we sold everything we had. And I remember I was in Mateo in cash converters, right? The last thing I could sell was his toys. And the guy was, of course, taking toys because there was collectible items on the Thomas the Tank. And he was pulling these toys back, and I said, no, Daddy, you need to sell this. And all these people are laughing in your face. He said, fuck, you need to sell your kids' toys. And I said to myself, this is the really it? Man. And then people said to me, you can't succeed. Fuck off, you know what I mean? Fuck succeed. Man, I sold my kid last toy for fucking lousy $15 to buy milk. And here, I can't explain to you. I tried to understand for years how the parent can leave the kid. Yes, I was 18 years old. Like, this is not fucking medieval age. You're 12 years old, you're going to war, right? You know what I mean? But fucking 21st century. And then you leave your kid, you know, and you don't even care for 3 years. I'm telling you, like, I remember right now, when I was wounded in the head. She comes in hospital, the doctor says, why are you crying? You know what I mean? My mom decided to appear out of nowhere 3 years later. The doctor says, why are you crying? He said, he's wounded in the head. Guy says, like, you know, just a little bit bone missing, you know. It's like, just a little bit bone missing. It's going to be okay. Like, you know, we fixed everything. You know what I mean? My mom, she's still crying. And the doctor says, he starts sweating. He said, why are you crying? It's going to be okay. He's going to report back to the unit, right? And then my mom, she says, I'm crying because he will not die. I'm listening. She think I can't hear it. Because at that stage, if I die from the wounds in the war, my mom gets the car, no taxes, the new unit. And my mom, and I'm like, my eyes is like this big. And so like, are you insane? And needless to say that my girlfriend, she dumped me that day as well, on the Valentine's Day, 93. Anyway, so like, I've been those hardships. You've been everybody's day. Everybody has a story. And that's what I wanted to capture. That's when people understand that is the human spirit. It's a struggle, but you need to embrace the struggle, because if you're working towards the goal, and like I today have an opportunity to talk to you, all of you guys, you know what I mean? I'm nothing better, but at least I'm authentic. That's the reason is I'm speaking from the point of authenticity, of credibility. Because my life, it's easy to check. You can go on a website. He was in the war fucking 5 years. 5 years, man. Not 5 days. And you tell me, you know, life is hard and difficult. You know the one more difficult it is? When I saw my son suffering when he has a seizure. You go in the hospital, you see all these kids. They don't know where they are, you know, those babies, you know, they hit their heads. But they're looking with these big eyes, they're happy as like... And now I'm complaining about life. I'm on a mission to create live the better place than I found. You know, the other day I told you I was on a beach. And I feel sorry for this guy. Did I share this story with you? No? Anyway, I was in Memorial Beach. It comes this couple. It's all augmented, you know what I mean? If the temperature is a little bit high, it's going to be, you know, on a mobile phone, on an Apple phone says extreme temperature need to cool down, you know what I mean? These two people was same thing. If it's a temperature 1 degree higher, they will melt it. That augmented beauty will disappear. Anyway, and the guy comes with some, you know, device, I'll call this, some bag. And I see he's pulling some sticks out and everything else, and she's all beautiful, you know. I said, like, it's good to see this young couple, you know what I mean? It's gonna be, you know, the best thing it is, what I'm seeing, when I'm seeing, it's pregnant women and the kids, because I know that the world has a chance. You know what I mean? All these young kids, you know, your kids, my kid, you know, all these little babies. When I hear them cry on a plane, little babies, make me happy, because I said to myself, the world has a chance. You know what I mean? We fuck it up, they're gonna fix it. Anyway, the guy comes with that bag. He's opening that bag, take the 3 sticks and square material like this. So I was gonna build a tent straight away in my head, right? It's fucking sunny, man. It's melting everything. Like my fruit salad becomes like some mashy thing, you know, I mean, fruit salad. Anyway, the guy was reading instructions. I said to myself, why reading instructions? It's just a tent, you know. Anyway, 3 sticks, 1 stick front, 1 back, 1 middle. You just need to put material over in the middle, you know, just tie it up. You have a tent. 45 minutes this guy was making the tent. He was angry. She was trying to say to him something, his girlfriend. He was blasting her like everybody was laughing around because the guy was 45 minutes trying to make a tent. I said, excuse me. They say yes. I said, look, mate, I had something similar in the past. I can help you. No, mate, it's okay. I have control. I said, okay. I think myself, in military, we will do this, you know, in a pair. Like everybody will have that square material, which can be used as a raincoat, or when you put together, you make a tent. So the 2 soldiers go under that tent. 55 minutes, I see my time, it's like, man, it's at 1 o'clock, the sun is just, the sand, it started melting, become the glass. It was so hot. The alpha male, 55 minutes, try to make that freaking tent, which you can make it in 30 seconds. I'm guarantee you 30 seconds. Stick, middle stick, put the material over, tie it up, 30 seconds, e-fish. 1 hour, 7 minutes, I remember, I was just watching my time, the guy gave up. I said to him, he didn't give up. He said, Mate, you don't understand, they're making these things so complicated. I said to myself, now, this is the funniest part. He left, she was all melted, the makeup, the lips, all augmented beauty disappeared. But there is a part which it's very important. If you don't know how to make the tent, metaphorically speaking, this is how you're going to put a shelter above the head of your family. How you're going to protect your loved ones. How you're going to shield them against the sun, rain, snow, storms. Shelter. Our ancestors, they live in a cave. When they realize we can be on a fresh air, let's go build some type of the homes. You know, they start building something. They move out of the caves to the open. But if you know how to make the tent, metaphorically speaking, you think you're alpha male? No, you're nothing, because there's gonna come somebody, average Joe, who's gonna know how to make the tent and defend his tent and his family. And I could understand. We are so glued into that screens that guy was even looking on YouTube. I could hear it. Instructions how to make the tent, and he was incapable to do even that. That is our society. That's the alpha male. Look at me. I'm the smart, I'm the tough, I'm the rough. I guarantee you guys, one thing I learned from my experience in life, when you sleep, when you feel comfortable, the average Joe will come and snitch everything what you have. Because average Joe is going to adapt, adjust, and improvise. And you'll believe that you're on the top of the food chain. You are not. Because you're going to be on the sun while average Joe has a shelter. And that day I realized, I'm done. I need to do more for this society. That's true. Freaking tent. Look at my tats. Look at how good looking I am. I'm the alpha male. I'm the leader. I mean, I love that word, leader. In military, there's no such a thing, leadership. There is no such a thing, leadership. I'm the leader. Who leader of what? What does that mean? Do you be leader? Need to have the followers. In military, you have accountability and responsibility. You are assigned, you are chosen to lead according to your qualifications, educations, and anything else. Same goes in alpha males. You think that you're alpha male because you go in the gym, you're strong and everything else? No, you're not, guys. If you don't know how to make the tent, freaking tent. And that's why the most of guys love to bake themselves on the sun rather than being in the shade. But that's the reality. Stop impressing other people. Impress yourself. Build and learn new skills.